We're recording.
Well, that just seems
I
anticlimactic,
know.
jumping in like, well, hey, we're recording. Well, it took a moment to get settled here, don't you?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It was a madhouse, like always.
Well, sometimes it takes going into what we're going to be talking about. I think that's pretty good going into the circling the mat, so to speak, to sit down to meditate,
That's true. Yeah.
you know?
Hmm.
So how did this topic come up? We're going to be talking about, people like me
People like you.
people like me who don't see visually when we meditate.
Mm.
And how did we even come up with this? Because you said, hey, that would be a good topic.
Yeah. I don't even remember we were talking about something meditation,
Yeah.
or you were talking about how, well, you're working on the course with
Yes.
Amanda.
Yep.
And she's very visionary like I am, but
Hmm.
you experience it in a different way. So I think we were talking about that. And I said that needs to come through more because so many people think that when you meditate, you have to see.
Right.
And that's not.
No, it's not true. But now here's the confusing part for some people who hear me explain what's happening or whatever.
Mhm.
They think that maybe I'm a seer because I use visual words to to normalize it for people that I'm talking to,
Yeah,
right?
because it's common language.
Right? But
Yeah.
I don't see anything like, hello, it's dark.
Mhm.
Occasionally I will see something, but that's few and far between. But it's
Right.
like not for the longest time I thought I couldn't meditate or that I wasn't meditating
Mhm.
because I wasn't seeing,
Right.
the
Yeah.
grandiose
Mhm.
things, all the places you go to go as other people go.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of in the in between place where it just seems that it's dark. Information drops in how do I want to say this? It's almost like you're not meditating, which is kind of confusing too, because they're
Okay.
just thoughts. It's not your busy mind.
Mhm.
Like it's not the quieting the mind
Mhm.
thing that you're trying to get your mind to shut up while you're trying to meditate. Thoughts that are not mine per se, as in conscious thoughts that drop in words, images, or I might just think of like an owl, or I might think of an eagle, or a particular tree, that kind of thing. And then I go into, well, where is this taking me?
Okay.
So, and sometimes I just know stuff like that would happen regularly in sessions with people. I would just know things that I couldn't possibly know about them.
Right.
And they would be like, well, how do you know that? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea. And then the other aspect that is, I wouldn't say unusual, but it comes up quite frequently. I don't necessarily remember what I'm saying during meditation, or like I've recorded things that are going on, or I write it down right afterwards and I'm like, I don't even remember any of that. Like, so it's a curious little thing.
Yeah.
Let's
It
say.
sounds like
Let's
it.
say that. And I guess the reason why we wanted to talk about it is because there are probably a lot of people out there who kind of feel like they're not doing it right
Right.
because you paint pictures and
Yeah.
you see, and you're like the switch from the Wizard of Oz going from black and white to color. That's
Yeah.
you,
Full
right?
vision,
Yeah,
full
full
everything.
vision. Yeah.
And we just wanna normalize it because it comes up a lot in class too. People think that they're doing it wrong because they don't see,
Mhm.
or that they don't see as vividly as some people, or they don't experience it like some people. So we
Yeah.
just wanna kinda normalize that everybody experiences it in a different way.
And it's also too that they may still feel the anchor of the present moment because
Mhm.
like that happens to me a lot. I am very sensorial focused. So like I hear everything that's going on around me, even with earbuds on and like trying to tap into the music and let that take me away, so to speak.
Mhm.
And so there are your consciousness can work in different levels, different frequency,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
even if I have one foot, in this world,
Mhm.
I may have three-quarters of my body in the other world and be able to navigate and gather the information and learn and then translate that knowing into something. That's the other part. Like, what do you do with the information that comes back from the meditation.
Mhm.
Like, are you paying attention to the the randomness of the things that drop into your head? Like, there are
Right.
some things that I'm like, "What in the world am I thinking about?
Mhm.
Like, how did that come? I don't even know that bird, or I don't even know that place."
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
That is an important thing to bring through because a lot of meditation and the way you experience it is channeled energy. So we
right.
don't remember it after.
Mhm.
So if we don't remember it, recording it is good, writing it down or automatic writing while you're in that state.
Exactly.
I'll like video record myself because it's just easy for me
Right.
and I have the setup to do that. So I'll channel everything while I'm meditating or when I'm in the Akashic records for myself so that I can go back.
Yeah. Yeah, and the automatic writing, so people think that if you're automatic writing, you're not meditating because you're doing something.
Mhm.
However, for me, that works beautifully
Mhm.
because I am keeping my mind busy with the motion because I'm very somatic, right?
Right.
I am very much of this plane in this body, four on the floor,
Yeah.
And so by writing, it grounds me, right? And it allows me to go deeper, I think, because I'm using the pen, tactile, touching the paper,
That's a good point. Yeah, I never thought about it like
you
that.
know, or
It's the
touching the
pendulums.
crystals, the pendulums, the connectors, that kind of thing, because that kind of movement is kind of like, petting the cat. It
Mhm.
kind of calms your nervous system. Somatically, it just says, okay, this is what we're doing. We're gonna be right here. Pet the kitty. It's really good. We're gonna stay.
Yeah, I didn't think about it that way, but
Yeah.
that's a really good point.
And then how do you come out of it, right? Like, so that's the other thing that people think is something wrong with how they meditate. Like, is it like a light switch? You just all of a sudden, okay, pop up, I'm done.
Right.
Because sometimes that happens. It's
Sometimes,
like
yeah.
all of a sudden, like the eyes are open and here I am. Other times I actually fall asleep,
Yeah, that happens to me sometimes too.
you know,
Mhm,
and then Lord knows what's going on there
mhm.
with the integration and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then there's a gradual coming back. Like if you're in a guided meditation, and how does that show up? If somebody's doing a guided meditation for you, how is that for you? Like, do you go off to where they're telling you to go? Or Elaine, do you go off on your own little journey?
It depends. I definitely go off on my own a lot more now than I did when I first started.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of developing your own practice and developing your own relationship with meditation. But yeah, so you guys sent me a meditation for the new class.
Yep.
And, Amanda was saying, you go here. And my mind was like, nope, I'm good right here. I'm going to stay. And I had to turn the meditation off because my brain would not let me go further because I had to experience something in the place that I was at.
And that is a very important aspect of, we're going to talk about in one of the next episodes, we're going to talk about the spiritual path and living the spiritual path, right? And that is one of the things, like, just because this is given to you, this is the meditation, this is what you're listening to, it is okay to hit the pause and say, this is where my work is right now. So
Yeah.
I need to be here versus over there,
Yeah.
and
And there again, we think that that's wrong, but it's not. It's the opposite. It shows maturity in your practice and maturity in knowing what's right for you spiritually
Mhm.
versus someone else.
Well, and I think the other part too is like, so you and I develop a lot of course content, and Amanda's joining us and contributing to the course content,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
And so, okay, and I'm picking my words carefully because I don't want to offend anybody. It's not that we have a better way, or that, but we do teach to all levels. So you have to have a starting point. You have to have an understanding of where you're going, and even the most basic practice for an advanced practitioner can be very rich and meaningful.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Mhm.
So it's not that we're saying this is how you have to do it, even when you're like using somebody else's prompts or meditations. Or I'm not going to call this person out. I was taking a particular class and I couldn't do any of the meditations in
Mhm.
this class. And it was frustrating. Here
Yeah.
I'm paying for this content,
Yeah.
right? I'm taking this online class
Mhm.
and I can't. I can't get myself where they want me to go, but I know how to get to where the work needs to go because it was simply the pacing. So
Yeah.
pacing is an important part of meditation, right?
Yeah.
You fast track some
I do
people
sometimes,
sometimes.
yeah. There there was a course I was taking, yeah, and they just go so slow, which some people really jive with that. Yeah. I I don't. I like it to be a certain pace, like you said, pacing matters and everybody is different. Like that doesn't mean that they're doing it wrong or if you like that style that
Yeah,
you're doing it wrong.
yeah,
That's just our energy. We just like
exactly.
it a little faster.
Well,
And we've been called out for that too.
I know. I mean, we've had
So
people like, "Hey, can't you make that meditation longer?" No. You can turn off the recording and stay there as long as you like.
yeah.
And I think that's the other part that trips people up.
Mhm.
Okay. When you're doing a guided meditation and someone interrupts your meditation place with
Mhm.
a cue that says, "Hey, start bringing yourself back. Take as long as you like." Okay, that means like 10 seconds. And flip the switch and be back here
Right.
pronto, ready to work. No,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. That means when somebody says, "Take as long as you like, take as long as you like,"
Yeah.
stay there,
Mhm.
stay with your eyes closed. I mean, don't stay there for 3 days, but, a few extra minutes, whatever you
Finish
need.
whatever you're doing.
Finish your thought, finish your experience, and
Mhm.
then come out of it. But I think that's the other thing. Because you're in a group setting, you don't want to do it wrong.
Yep,
You don't want to be the weird one who either A, didn't experience anything. That would be me,
that's
right?
true,
Nope,
yep.
I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything. Then, later that day, my mind explodes with all of these ideas
Mhm.
that were, guess what, from that meditation.
Yep.
So
It's not linear, the time that happens.
it is not, and that is the thing. My information a lot of times comes in after the fact, like in the shower, cooking dinner, walking in nature. All
Mhm.
of a sudden I get all these grand things that come from the meditation. And so again, explaining it. So developing course content, I
Mhm.
have to explain visually what I don't see. I have to paint the picture. And that can be challenging. In my mind, I keep going to that story about the blind men experiencing an elephant for the first time, and they were all at a different place on the elephant's body. And
Okay.
then they were trying to explain to each other what an elephant is. And
Aw,
it's different,
yeah. Mhm.
because you're feeling the trunk versus the rump. And that's a big difference.
Yeah.
Um, so, yeah, so trust is a big factor when it comes to meditation. Am I really experiencing this?
Yeah, so my question to you is when the stuff comes in, does it feel different? Like, how do you know that it's different, or do you just know?
Okay. It is a loaded question because how do I know? I don't know. And yet I know,
Yeah.
right? So that sounds wishy washy because okay, it's not like my ADHD brain going, I have to do the laundry and, oh, I forgot Q-tips at the grocery store and oh, Fiona needs her nails trimmed and we got to pay the tax bill and wait, next week when, la, la, la. It's not like that.
Okay.
Okay. And that's the busy mind when you're starting to get started in meditation. Those are the kinds of things that come in. It's just this busy, 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 busy. And it feels like hyped up almost. Like
Okay.
your active mind feels hyped up. When things come in through meditation, it's almost like it just, I'm going to say it just drops into the top of your head. Like
Okay.
it is not, you said it, it's not linear. It doesn't seem connected to anything. And
Mhm.
then it always makes me go, huh, well, isn't that interesting? Like, there is that thought that comes in because then my mind wants to process whatever the thing was, whatever the place was. Like, for example, in one meditation, all of a sudden there was a cottage where there shouldn't be a cottage in the script,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, what am I going to do with that? Well, I'm going to go inside. I'm going to go inside. It's like, okay, you're not supposed to be here. So now I have to figure out what you are.
Right.
And it took me to a deeper experience, right?
Mhm.
So there's this dance that you have to do between discerning what is busy thought, conscious mind, and what is gifted spirit unconscious mind, collective unconscious stuff comes in sometimes, and it's like,
Yeah.
how do I how would I even know that fact? I have
Mhm.
no idea. I think that the hardest part is getting comfortable with having to translate it, having to speak in the picture world,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, adapting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, like, how would I explain to you that as soon as I say I'm walking through the woods, what do you see?
I see the woods. I
Yeah.
see myself walking.
If I tell you that there are, blue butterflies,
Mhm.
right? I am not seeing blue butterflies. I'm just the words. I know what they look like, but there's not a picture here,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And so there you have it.
Mhm.
I mean, that's it. So the things for the non-seers, and I don't like the non-seers. I was trying to non-visual seers. You are a non-visual seer because you still are seeing, you're
Mhm.
experiencing or you're sensing, words as knowing, right?
Yeah.
Is a good way to they're words as knowing. So good point is notice words, thoughts, sudden clarities that arise,
Okay. I like that.
and the cue is, like you said, you record
Mhm.
things and then ask, what do I know right now that I didn't know how I knew it? Okay, that's kind of like a Dr. Seuss question. But how do I know what I think I know? But how do I know that?
Right. Mm.
Where is this coming? Not the why. Why questions get us lost. Clarity doesn't come from why. I can make up all the answers for why.
Mm.
But the other question, words like, what's the value of this? How do I know this?
Mhm.
Where did this come from? What am I feeling when this happened? What other senses are heightened? Because I'm not seeing, but what am I hearing? What am I smelling? Some people in meditation,
Mhm.
they smell things.
I Mhm.
So, like, look at that kind of thing. And then where does it take you next? What is the sudden understanding, the aha moment that you have? And does it show up right after or is it delayed?
Down the road.
Yeah. And do you appreciate it? Do you acknowledge it?
Right.
Yeah. What do you do with all of your meditation?
Like I said, a lot of times I either record them or I write them down. And usually during Mercury retrograde, we've talked about this before on the podcast, I'll go back and I'll reread them or rewatch them. Because usually there's little nuggets. Usually during the big astrology transits is when
Mhm.
that stuff comes back around for me. Or we'll be talking about something, you'll be like, "Oh, I saw a bluebird." I'm like, "Wait a minute, I saw a bluebird in my meditation 3 weeks ago." And then I'll go back because that can trigger stuff too,
Right.
talking to somebody, noticing the signs, not just in your own life, but that come up in conversation.
Right.
And that triggers usually something in my brain to
Exactly.
go back and be like, "Oh, yeah, I remember that was important."
Yeah, and okay, so what you just said is an important thing too, is it be in conversation about it, but not from a perspective where you need somebody to tell you how to fix it or
Right.
what it means.
Yeah.
Like when Elaine and I talk about meditation, I'm not telling her what it means for her. I'm saying what's showing up for me when I listen to her and I make the connections because that's where the juice for me is in
Mhm.
the connection from me. What am I feeling? What
Right.
did the bluebird mean to you in your meditation that brought you back there, right? Versus me telling you what a bluebird means,
So, yeah,
you
because it's
know?
gonna mean different things for everybody.
Right.
And that's knowing your own spirit and your own energy
Mhm.
and not being influenced.
What?
I know, by what other people say, because you could be like, "The bluebird means this, this, and this," and I'm be like, "Oh, well, maybe what I thought was wrong." It's not. It's just you need to discern for yourself.
Did we have that conversation
I
on a
think we
pod
did the
on a
last one.
podcast
Yeah,
where you were talking about the birds in the backyard, not the chicken.
not the neighbor chicken.
But you had an aha moment because you kept having certain birds show up
Yeah.
and you were like, what do they mean? What do they mean? What do they mean? What do
Yep,
they
and it
mean?
wasn't until I stopped, and it was during our animal Reiki class that I realized what they meant, and it was completely not what I was thinking because I was looking them up in the books. I was researching, "What
Mhm.
does this mean? What does this mean?
Yeah.
What does this mean?" And it wasn't until our animal Reiki where I actually connected to the spirit of the animal, where it was like, "Yo,
Yeah.
I've been talking to you the whole time."
You're
Not in the
not
way
missing. Aren't listening to me.
Yeah.
I was right here.
Yeah.
I was gonna tell you.
But see, that's where the cerebral thing comes in. So I was trying to figure it out
Right.
in my brain and not in the spiritual body. So as soon as I tapped into that,
Well, and so this could like take us down a whole nother rabbit hole, but sometimes for me the processing comes through art after the fact. So yes, I sit down and meditate, without doing anything else, right? But then there is the practice of the neurographic art or painting or beading, making a tree, whatever, where I am just focused on the act of creating without thought because I'm not directing the creation of the piece. The art just flows. That creates an avenue for a lot of knowing that comes in.
I could see that. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
being in that flow state.
Yeah, and then journal about the piece after the fact,
Yeah.
and slowing down the practice. So I have a tree that I've been working on now
Hmm.
for, I don't know, 2, 3 weeks now. That is unheard of in my
Yeah.
world to
Yeah.
to have something take that long to make. But the pacing, I mean, I could say there were pacing reasons, like I ran out of beads. I mean, that is true. I did.
Yeah.
Um, but the pacing, the tree didn't want to be made quickly.
Hmm.
So, I'd go in, I'd put a few beads on, I'd sit there with the tree, move the wire around, be curious and see what shows up. And then now here we are, 3 weeks later and it's complete.
Can't wait to see it.
And it's a lot. It's a lot.
Hmm.
But that's another way to practice. And then let's talk about length of meditation for a minute. Let's just throw that one in there.
Yeah. Cause that's another one that I feel like we like to myth bust that you don't have to sit there for an hour and meditate in stillness. It can be 5, 10 minutes. You can get so much information if it wants to come through and you're in the state in
Yeah.
5 to 10 minutes. You don't have to be sitting there for an hour. And
Mhm.
yeah,
I can't sit for an hour
I
either.
can sometimes because I can get in that state.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've done it. There was that one day. I don't know what was happening, but I was in meditation like all day, back to back. But that's unusual and that's not common. And it doesn't have to be.
Right.
Honor your energy. Do you
Well
want to be in it for an hour?
okay, and are you using it as an escape? Like, let's be
Right.
honest there.
Yeah,
Like,
I definitely was doing that for a
s
while.
because I think that there is some stuff out there in the world of how we do things,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
That there are these shoulds of how long you should meditate
Mhm.
and that you're more spiritual because you can sit under the Buddha tree for 6 hours and go to this state of bliss, which I'm not knocking if that's your jam. And I'm going to ask you, are you avoiding something? What do you do with that work after you take the retreat? We all need retreats. We all need down days. There are days that I can cocoon up on the couch all day long.
Yeah.
And of course, I feel guilty about it afterwards. But there are different aspects. But what has you keep going into a very long meditation, and what are the fruits from it? And if there aren't any fruits from it, other than being away from the world, which
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, that kind of sounds kind of nice.
Yeah.
Then you're escaping, like you really are.
Yeah.
So,
Spiritual bypassing.
yeah, exactly. So, an affirmation for the non visual seers, the words as knowing people. My knowing is valid, even without images. My knowing is valid, even without images.
I like that.
And-
That's the one thing that we really want to drive home is that the people that see and are visual are not better. They're not more in tune with their energy. Because I see this in like the groups a lot, the groups on Facebook and the groups online they're trying to get to a state where they can see. Not everybody, everybody's
yeah.
brains are different.
Okay. Well, that brings in the people who can see auras
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Okay. We're talking about meditation here, but it's the same kind of thing. I see them occasionally if the lighting is right,
Mm.
if the energy is right,
Right. Yeah.
if I'm right with the vibing with all the thing and I'm not distracted, I can see. And usually it's around trees and things or during a Reiki class after we've done like, a
Yeah. And the energy
gazillion
was.
things and yeah. Okay, but That's not everybody's gift. That is
Mhm.
not my strong gift. Can I train myself to do that? Sure. Over a long period of time. Will I ever be proficient at it? Maybe, maybe not.
Mm.
But it's not my gift. And it's not a heft,
Exactly, yeah.
you know? And yet there are classes and people who think that by reaching these milestones,
Mhm.
practices, these things, I am becoming more spiritual, more awake, more connected,
Mhm.
more. But are you? Are you truly connected to
Mhm.
your own consciousness, and your connection to the divine in the language that works best for you?
Yes.
Anything else there? That's a lot.
That was a lot.
That was a lot. Okay, so I would say let us know. Let us know if you're a non-visual seer, if you had an aha moment, if we helped with that, because
Mhm.
I don't think I'm the only one out there.
Oh,
You know what I
absolutely
mean?
not. Yeah. No, we know that. We've experienced that.
Okay, I'm drinking
Okay.
my big bottle of water again. Yeah.
That Lily licked.
Yeah, the Lily lick. Yeah, we will share a picture of Lily taking my seat here.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Till
Till
next
next
time.
time. Yeah.